Hello everyone, this is Saksham Jain and I welcome you all to the Future Camp. So in this video we are going to discuss everything you need to know about 1D linear regression. We will be covering that why is linear regression is called a best fit line and what are the different use cases of linear regression. We will be covering what is the difference between 1D linear regression and multivariable linear regression. Also, we will be taking a deep dive inside all the mathematical concepts related to 1D linear regression. We will implement our own code. We will write our own code for our linear regression 1D linear regression model, and we will also learn to use scikit-learn in order to implement our 1D linear regression code. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So whenever you hear the term linear regression, there are three things that should instantly come to your mind. First thing is that linear regression is a supervised machine learning problem. Also, inside supervised machine learning, it belongs to regression category. So it simply means that whatever your dataset that you give to your model has to be labeled. Also, since it belongs to regression category, therefore you are going to get real valued output. So it means that your output can be anything. It can be any number. For example, 6543, 428, 29. Basically, it can be any number. Now, the second thing that should come to your mind is that linear regression is also known as best fit line. So since it is called best fit line, therefore it means that whatever dataset that you have provided to your model, therefore the linear regression line should try to fit through maximum data points. For example, this is a graph. Here I have given my independent variables, the features to the model, and here is my predicted value. So in this case, suppose these are my data points. These data points are known as targets. So here, since I have to fit a best fit line here, my linear regression line will look like this. So in this case, this line perfectly tries to fit through all the data points. But if I talk about this line is not does not pass through all the data points present here, but this one pass through all the data points perfectly. Yeah, I know that all the data points are not covered by this line, but it is pretty close to all the data points. In this chart, this line tries to pass through all the data points, and in this line, and in this 3D chart, my line will pass through this. So linear regression is a best fit line, and since it is a best fit line, it will try to pass through all the data points. Now let's look at some real world examples of linear regression. Suppose I am given attendance of a student, and on the basis of that attendance, I have to find or I have to predict what marks that student is going to get. In second case, I have been given the study of hours, the number of hours that student has studied, and on the basis of that number, I have to predict what marks the student is going to get. In second example, suppose I am given the weight of a patient, and on the basis of that weight, I have to predict what is the blood pressure of that patient going to be. In second case, I have been given age of that person or patient, and on the basis of that age, I have to predict what is going to be the blood pressure of that patient. So these examples where I have been given only the attendance, only the study of hours, only the weight of the patient, and only the age, these examples belong to 1D linear regression. In 1D linear regression, we are given only one feature, or we can say only one independent variable, and on the basis of that independent variable, we have to find one dependent variable or one output. But you guys must be thinking that what kind of teachers measures the marks of a student or will try to predict the marks of a student just on the basis of his or her attendance or the number of hours he or she has studied, and what kind of doctor measures the blood pressure just on the basis of weight and age. Well, yeah, it is true. Nobody measures the marks of blood pressure alone on one of these single factors. Instead, they try to utilize a multiple number of features in order to predict these things. For example, in order to predict marks, for one person might use attendance as well as number of hours he or she has studied. In case of blood pressure, the doctor might use weight as well as age as well as gender. There can be many more features also, but just for example I have taken only three features. So since we are using more than one feature, therefore this is known as multivariable linear regression. So in case of multivariable linear regression, we can have n number of features where n can be any number greater than 1. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5, any number can be present, but the number has to be greater than 1. And on the basis of n features or n independent variables, I have to find one dependent variable or I have to predict one outcome. So this is known as multivariable linear regression. In practical examples, in practical use cases, we always use multivariable linear regression. Nobody uses 1D linear regression or linear regression where we use only one variable to predict something, because the result is not going to be accurate. Because in 1D linear regression we are using just one feature, so the result is going to be less accurate as compared to multivariable regression where we are using many different features in order to predict our output. But if multivariable regression is used in practical life, then why are we even studying 1D linear regression? The answer is that it is because before we try to deal with many features, before we try to deal with many independent features, we should be comfortable with dealing with only one feature. So if you are comfortable in dealing with only one feature, or if you are comfortable with 1D linear regression, then you can easily understand multiple variable linear regression. Now you must be wondering that how can we find the best fit line? So suppose these are my data points and I have to find a best fit line. So what I'm going to do is the model will first try to draw a random line and it is going to calculate the error. So what is the error? These are my actual values. These are my actual values that are the real values that my model should give. And suppose this is my predicted value. Since it lies on the line, it's going to be a predicted value. It is a value that my model is going to predict. And between the actual value and the predicted value, there is going to be some error. And the aim of my model is to minimize this error. Suppose I'm going to denote this error by E is equal to y minus of y cap. This is going to be my y cap. Now, this is not going to be my only error. Since there are multiple data points, they are going to be I have to calculate the sum of all the errors. Suppose this is my error, this is my error, this is my error, this is my error, this. So I have to find or I have to calculate the sum of all these errors. So I'm going to write my error function as E is equal to summation of from I is equal to n, where I is equal to 1. This is my first error or my first data point, and n is my last data point. So I have to calculate the sum of all the rest from the first to the last data point, and I'm going to write it as yi minus of yi cap. But suppose this is my line and these are my data points. Here I'm getting an error of +2 and here I'm getting an error of -2, which means that the distance between the actual value and the predicted value here is +2, and here the distance between actual and predicted is -2, and in this case suppose it is +5 and -5. So if I calculate the error here, what I'm going to get is error is equal to 2 plus of -2 plus of 5 plus of -5. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I have to add all the error terms. So I've added them, and in answer I'm going to get 0. I'm sure you must be knowing that error can never be 0. Error has to be some value. If I'm adding some error terms, then I should get a bigger error term, not a 0 or a negative. If here it was -6, then in this case what error I'm going to get is 2 plus -2 plus 5 plus of minus 6, which is equal to minus 1. Error can never be negative. Error has to be always a positive value. So it means that this function that I have written here must be having an error in itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a square term here. So what this will do is, if I will expand this, I'm going to get y1 minus of y1 cap whole square plus y2 minus of y2 cap whole square, and so on. So now if I have this regression line, suppose this error is plus 5 and this error is minus 5. Now if I calculate the error term, what I'm going to get is 5 whole square plus of minus 5 square, which is going to give me 25 plus 25, that is further equal to 50. And we all know that 50 is a positive number, and error has to be a positive number. Error can never be a negative number. So just by introducing a square term, I have managed to achieve a positive error. We can have different error terms for different models, but yeah, for this case, a square term is going to be working perfectly fine. Now we all know that equation of a linear regression line is y is equal to mx plus c, where y is my independent term, y is my dependent term, x is my independent term, m is the slope, and c is the intercept or the constant that we are adding to the equation. But in case of machine learning, we refer m2 as weight term and c2 as bias term. In many books you will see it written as y is equal to wx plus b and so on. But for our calculation, what I'm going to write is, I'm going to write y is equal to ax plus b for simplicity of calculation. And since this is a predicted value of y, this is going to be y cap. If this is my data set, this value is going to be my y cap, this value is going to be my y, and this predicted value is going to be my y cap. So this is my y cap. I have to predict my y cap. So in order to predict my y cap, I need to have the values of all three variables. The user is going to give the value of the independent term. He or she is always going to give the value of the independent term, because that person has to calculate what is going to be the prediction on the basis of that value. So the only thing that we need to find is, or the only things we need to find are a and b, which means our weight and bias, which means our slope and intercept of our linear regression line. Okay, so our error term was e is equal to y minus of y cap, and we have to do summation from all of the data points. Now I guess you guys must be remembering that the concept of maxima and minima. Suppose we are given an equation x square plus 2x plus 2, and we want to find the minimum value of x, or the value of x that will give me the minimum value of this equation. So what we do is we basically differentiate the whole equation with respect to x and equate it to 0. So by doing so, what I'm going to get is 2x plus 2 equal to 0, and I'm going to get my value of x as minus 1. So if I put the value of x as minus 1 here, I'm always going to get the least value of this equation. If I put any other value other than minus 1, for example, if I put 1, so here in this case I'm going to get as 1 whole square plus 2x plus 2, and this is going to give me 2 multiplied by 1 plus 2, 4, and this is going to give me 5. If I put in place of minus 1 minus 3, so here I'm going to get minus 3 whole square plus 2 multiplied by minus 3 plus 2, which is further going to give me 9 minus 6 plus 2, and that is equal to 5. So in every case we are going to get that the value of x has to be minus 1. And why we are calculating the minima? We are calculating the minima because we want to find the least value of error. we want to find a line that gives the least value of error, because if a line provides me the least error, it means it is passing through the data set better than the others. So I have to find the least value of error, and if I have a line that gives me the least value of error, it means that the line is passing through all the data points much better than the other lines. So what I'm going to do is, here there's a square term. So first of all, I'm going to write this equation as summation of yi minus of axi plus b whole square. I'm not going to write is equal to 1 and n every time here. So basically we have to find a as well as b. So we have a linear equation in two variables. This means that I have to find two equations. I need to get two equations, and from those two equations I will get values of a and b. So first of all, I'm using the concept of maximum minima. First I'm going to differentiate this equation with respect to a. So I'm going to get 2 summation of yi minus of axi plus b, and differentiation of axi with respect to is going to give me minus xi, y minus, because minus 1 was here, and I have to equate this equation with respect to 0. So I'm going to get here minus 2 summation of xi yi and plus 2a summation of xi whole square plus 2b summation of xi equal to 0. Every 0 is going to get cancelled, and I'm going to get the final equation as axi square plus b summation of xi is equal to summation of xi yi. This is going to be my equation number 1. Now I have to find two equations in order to find the value of a and b. So I'm going to get the second equation, I'm going to divide my error term with respect to b. Not divide, I have to differentiate my error term with respect to b, and that is going to give me summation of yi minus of axi plus b, and here the b is multiplied by 1, therefore differentiated b, I'm going to get minus 1, y minus, because minus was here. Now I'm going to write this equation as minus 2 summation of yi plus 2a summation of xi plus 2b summation of 1. b was multiplied to 1, therefore summation of 1, and this is going to be equal to 0. Each 2 is going to get cancelled here, and I'm going to transpose this term over here. So I will get a summation of xi plus b summation of 1, which is equal to summation of yi, and 1 plus 1 plus 1 up to n terms is always going to give me n. Therefore I'm going to write this equation as a summation of xi plus bn, and that is equal to summation of yi. This is my equation number 2. Now using these two equations, I have to find the value of a as well as b. These are my two equations, and since these two equations are little painful to our eyes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute the values. So I'm going to write summation of xi whole square as c, summation of xi as d, summation of xi yi as e, and summation of yi as f. So I'm going to write these equations all over again with these new substitutions. Now I have substituted the value of c, d, e and f in place of summation of xi square, summation of xi, summation of yi xi, and summation of yi. So I have rewritten those two equations. Now what I'm going to do is, as you can see, I have to find the value of a and b. So first of all, let's try to find the value of b. In order to find the value of b, what I have to do is I have to eliminate the term containing a. So that only the term containing b as coefficient will be remaining, and I can find the value of b. So here you can see that with a I have c multiplied, and in the equation below I have d multiplied with a. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first equation with d and the second equation with c, so that I will get the new equations as acd plus bd square is equal to ed, and the equation below is going to be acd plus bcn is equal to fc. Now here you can see that in both the equations I have the term containing a equal. So I'm going to subtract equation number 2 from equation number 1, so that these terms get cancelled. The terms containing a get cancelled, and the new equation is going to be bd square minus bcn is equal to ed minus of fc. Now I am going to take b common out and transpose the rest of the values to the denominator. So this is my new equation. This is the value of my b. Now in order to find the value of a, I have to cancel out the terms containing b. For that I'm going to multiply. Here you can see that with b I have multiplied d, and with b here I have multiplied n. So in the first equation I am going to multiply n on both the sides, and below I am going to multiply d with the whole equation, so that I will get the new equation as a n c plus b d n is equal to e n, and the equation below as a d square plus b d n is equal to f d. Now I have both the terms containing b equal in both the equations. So I am going to subtract the second equation from the first one, so that these terms get cancelled, and the new equation that I am going to get is a n c minus a d square is equal to e n minus of f d. I will take a common out, and I'm going to transpose the rest of the terms on the right hand side. So the new equation looks like this. So now I have the value of b as this and the value of a as this. Here you can notice that in b the denominator the value of the denominator is opposite. Basically it is opposite to what the denominator of a is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides, basically numerator and denominator of b, with minus 1, so that I will get the new value of b as fc minus of ed divided by cn minus of d square. Now in both a and b I have the denominator equal. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to substitute the values here back to a and b. Now this equation will look like a is equal to summation of yi xi multiplied by n minus of summation of yi multiplied by summation of xi, and the denominator is going to look like n multiplied by summation of xi square minus of d square, and this will look like this, minus of d square, and the value of d is summation of xi whole square, and the value of b is going to be summation of yi summation of xi square minus of summation of yi xi summation of xi divided by n summation of xi square minus of summation of xi whole square. So these are the values of a and b. Now there is one more thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to divide in both a and b. I'm going to divide the numerator as well as denominator by n. The reason is that because in the later stage when we will be coding our linear regression model, it will be easier to code these terms. Otherwise it will be a little complex to write the equation in the coded form. So now after dividing both sides by n here as well as here, what I'm going to get is summation of yi xi minus of summation of yi minus of n summation of xi divided by summation of xi whole square minus summation of xi divided by n multiplied by summation of xi. After dividing this n got cancelled, and n which was divided to this term will be placed under summation of yi, and in the denominator this n will get cancelled, and I will split summation of xi whole square as summation of xi and summation of xi, and I will divide one of the summation of xi with n. And similarly in b, my denominator is going to look like summation of xi whole square minus of summation of xi divided by n summation of xi, and my numerator will look like summation of yi divided by n multiplied by summation of xi whole square minus of summation of xi divided by n multiplied by summation of yi xi. So these are my new values of a and b. Now we have to measure how good our model is, and to measure that we will be using r squared. So what is r squared? Basically the value of r squared is 1 minus sum of square of residual divided by sum of square of total, where the value of sum of square of residual is summation of, where the summation is from I is equal to 1 to n, and inside the bracket there is yi minus of y cap whole square, and the value of sum of square of total is summation of yi minus y dash, where y dash is mean, so yi minus y mean whole square. Now suppose the value of my sum of square of residual is equal to 0. It simply means that the value of my r square is going to be 1 minus, this term is 0, so this whole thing will be 0, 1 minus 0, which is equal to 1. This implies my model is extremely good. It is working absolutely fine, and my linear regression line perfectly fits the data. Now suppose my sum of square of residual is equal to sum of square of total, which means that the value of my r squared is going to be 1 minus and this thing is equal to 1, so this is going to be 1 minus of 1, which is equal to 0. Now this means that my model is average. This means that my model is average. It is not very good, and it is not going to give me a very good prediction. Not very good. It is not going to give me a correct prediction at all. So suppose my data set is like this. It is going to give me some prediction like this. Now suppose sum of square of residual divided by sum of square of total gives me a value which is greater than 1. Now what will happen is, if I find the value of r square, it is going to be r square is equal to 1 minus something something, and this something something is greater than 1. This simply means that r square is equal to, or I should say r square is less than 0. Why less than 0? Because I am subtracting 1 with some number that is greater than 1. So my r square is going to be less than 0. Now what does it mean? It simply means that my model is absolutely rubbish. It does not work fine with any data set. Suppose my data set is like this, and my linear regression line now will be this. So if my r square is negative, it simply means that my model is extremely bad, or it is the worst case possible. Now, first of all, you have to import NumPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas. After that, you have to load your dataset. You can find the link of the dataset for the dataset in the description below, and you can also find the dataset with the name data underscore 1d.csv in the GitHub account. And you have to remember one thing. While loading the data, you have to specify that header is equal to none. And why is that? It is because when you open the dataset, you can see that there is no header file. So since there is no header file, we have to specify that header is equal to none. And otherwise, it will consider that the first row is your header. And after that, you can check whether you have imported the data successfully or not by using dataset.head. Now you have to split the data into your independent and dependent variable. It means that you have to split your data in your x and y. Now for x, since this my data looks like this, now here you can see that the 0th column is represents the independent variables, and the column and the first index column represents all the dependent variables, which means the y variable. So I'm going to write I'm going to specify that the 0th column goes into the independent variable x, and the first column goes to y. After that, you have to print. You can check the shape of your x x variable. You can see it is 100 comma nothing. Later on, you will understand why I'm checking shape here. After that, you have to visualize your data. So for that, you can write plt.scatter x.y. So this will show you a plot of all your data set. Now, after this, you have to use the equation that we have derived earlier on the whiteboard. So for denominator, I have written x dot x minus x dot mean multiplied by x dot sum. So here you can see that in the denominator there is xi whole square. So for this, I have written x dot x and minus of summation of xi divided by n. So this becomes the mean, and multiplied by summation of xi. So this will be written as x dot sum. For a, I have written x dot y and minus y dot mean star x dot sum. So here you can see, or if you have written the equation, you can verify that RA came out to be summation of yi xi minus of summation of yi divided by n multiplied by summation of xi. So I have written summation of yi xi as x dot y minus of summation of yi divided by n. In here I have written summation of yi divided by n as y mean and y dot mean, and summation of xi as sum. Similarly, for b, I have written y dot mean multiplied by x dot x. So here you can see that I have written for b summation of y divided by n multiplied by summation of xi square. So for this, I can write this as y dot mean, and this can be written as x dot x. And here I have written x dot mean multiplied by x dot y. You can verify that. Once you run this, and you must be remembering that we were basically finding a and b for the equation y hat is equal to ax plus b. So you can also write a variable y hat which whose value is equal to a star x plus b, or a multiplied by x plus b. Here the value of a is this one and b is this one. Now let us try to plot our line. For that, first I will write plt.scatter x.y, so I can get a plot like this. After that, I will plot my line. I will plot my linear regression line. For that, I will write plt.plot x comma my predicted y, and the color of my line is going to be red. For that, I have specified color is equal to red. And once I run this, you can see I have successfully plotted my linear regression line. Now let us check what value we will get if what value the linear regression model will predict if I give my x value as 96. So I have written a star 96 plus b. Now my predicted y is going to be y hat. and the value of y hat is equal to a star x plus b. So I have written a star x plus b where the value of x is 96. If I run this, you can see my value of y hat is coming to be 192.235 something something. Now let us check how good our model actually is. For that, I am going to be using R squared error. So for R squared error, you must be remembering that we had find 1 minus sum of square of residual divided by sum of square of total. So for sum of square of residual, I have written d1, sum of square of total, I had written d2, I have written d2, and I will run this line, and you can see that my R squared error is going to be 0.99118 something something. Now let us use scikit-learn. Now let us try to use scikit-learn and see if there is any difference coming. So for using scikit-learn, I have to first import scikit-learn. So I have to write from scikit-learn, from sklearn.linear model, import linear regression. After this, I will split my dataset into my x and y. And here you can see there is a term reshape -1, 1. So it simply means that whenever I have written reshape, so it reshapes my array. So -1 means that my my computer will take care of how many rows there will be present, and 1 specifies the number of column. So if I have written -1, 1, it means that my model will reshape whatever the shape of the current data frame is into a data frame containing only 1 column and required number of rows. After that, I will print my x shape, which is coming to be 100, 1. Now you can see that here it is 100, 1. My shape of my x is coming to be 100, 1. And earlier we had find the shape to be 100, something, basically nothing. Here my sklearn clearly expects a array or a data frame with clearly mentioned or a dataset having some clear shape. So that's why I have used this code in order to get a accurate shape for my x. Now I will write a variable LR, which is basically my linear regression model, and I will fit my linear regression model the values of x and y. After that, I will predict my y hat using lr.predict, and I will feed my dataset. After running this, I will visualize my dataset. So I will write plt.scatter to scatter all the dataset, just like this one. And after that, I have written plt.plot x, y hat. It is exactly the same code we had written earlier, and the color is specified to be red. And you can see my linear regression code looks to be exactly similar to the value above. Now let us check our R squared value. So here, if I run this code, you can see that my R squared error is coming to be 0.99118 something something, and earlier it was also coming to be 0.99118 something something. So you can see that the code we have written for a linear regression model is completely similar, or I should say is working exactly same as the model we have used in the case of scikit-learn. So we have successfully written our own code, as well as we have successfully written our code using scikit-learn. So in today's video, we have discussed everything you should be knowing about 1D linear regression. So we have basically covered many parts of linear regression, like what is a best fit line, how do we choose the best fit line, and we have also discussed use cases of multivariable and 1D linear regression. We have also discussed the differences between 1D linear regression and multivariable linear regression, and we have derived and we have also seen all the mathematics related to 1D linear regression, and we have also seen how can we check how good our model is. After that, we have written our own code for linear regression, as well as we have also used a third-party API called scikit-learn to implement our code. So that was all for today. In the next video, we will be discussing everything you should be knowing about multivariable linear regression as well as polynomial linear regression. So let's meet in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.